if I can give you a pop quiz real quick, tell me what you do and who you do it for and why that work is important or how it makes the world a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Kai Northcott. I have a program that I call 8 Seasons Consulting. I work with high potential entrepreneurs who are tired of feeling like work is taking over their life. And I help people create good boundaries around work. I help people get more done in less time so that you can have more time for yourself, your passions, and your loved ones. And that
Yes.
work is important because, ideally we're all doing work that means something to us. If we hate our job and hate the work we do for money, that's a whole other problem. But assuming that we like the work that we do in the world and we think it's important to us, it's so easy. And even if we don't like our work, it's so easy for work to start to take over our whole lives and start to feel like I'm never really clocked out. I'm always thinking about work. When I'm with my family, I'm wondering if I should be making another client call. And it just, all of that prevents us from really being present with our families, being present with our loved ones. And then that actually degrades our quality of work too. And so I work with people to establish systems, habits, routines, so that when we're working, we're really getting as much done as possible and really moving forward these important projects that we have in the world and really present in the rest of our lives.
That's cool. I love getting back just into tossing these ideas around with you. Something that you said however long ago was when we worked together really stuck with me, and I say it a lot, is that, as we're dealing with a lot of work from home, with COVID and everything, it oftentimes doesn't feel like you're working from home. It feels like you're living at work.
That's exactly
And
right.
even just after you told me that, I've become so much more conscious of my own energy when I'm working from home and how I'm showing up or sometimes not showing up for clients or for people, for my family, and thinking, man, so much of this has to do with my environment. So you help people really navigate that and create that environment that's sustainable and joyful and allows people to
Right.
bring their whole selves to work. That's super
Yep.
cool. And this started because, if I remember correctly, right, you were traveling around. You were on the road for a long time. You left your corporate because you're in insurance, right? So you had left a corporate setting that really drove you to this kind of work. Can you just like briefly touch on that?
Yeah, so I had a corporate job. I was an insurance agent with one of the big name national carriers, and I was making 10K a month, but I was working anywhere from 40 to 80 hours a week to make that work. And it wasn't sustainable. It's just not energetically sustainable for me. And I left all of that behind. I left my career. I left a fiance. I left a lot of things behind, and I started traveling full time and going to a lot of earth skills gatherings where we teach traditional skills like blacksmithing, hide tanning, friction by fire, or fire by friction, things like that. And in that world, in the world of earth skills and nature connection, I got introduced to this 8 pointed cycle of the day and the 8 pointed cycle of the year, and how we can apply that same 8 pointed fractal to any aspect of life, work, business, relationship. So as I was doing that, as I was working with that model, I got a little bit back into the insurance industry, and one thing led to another. The company that I was working with, different company then, but this other company invited me to start an agency. And so I started an agency. I was recruiting, hiring, and training people. And I was training people in the 8 seasons of a sale and the 8 seasons of client relationship, using that 8 pointed cycle to do insurance work. And it had really positive benefits for my agent and for my whole agency. And then, I started working with other entrepreneur friends and kind of coaching them on the side. And one thing led to another. And that sweet spot, I've actually kind of left the insurance industry again, but that sweet spot between the two of taking this model from nature and figuring out how to make it work in the business world to benefit both of those worlds is really where I feel like that's my sweet spot right now.
I
Yeah.
remember when we started working together, you had a little bit of remember you had a website up. You were convicted in the model. You knew that you wanted to use that to help entrepreneurs. I don't think you had the social media following that you have now. So tell me a little bit more about where you were kind of before or when we started working together in your business. Where were you looking to go, and kind of what was preventing you from getting to that next level?
Yeah, so I did have a website. I had the website up for a few years. It was designed and built by somebody else, and I had updated a little bit here and there with new text and pictures and things. And I had about 50 people on my email list, all of whom were people that I knew in real life through some various circumstance. You know, maybe they had been at an event where I taught a workshop, or they were a friend of somebody who I'd worked with, but it was all like either people I personally knew, or like second degree um, network connection. So pretty tight circle there, not many people. And yeah, I had been kind of doing the coaching thing on the side. Well, I did it on the side for a few years, and then I was trying to make it my full-time thing for almost 2 years by the time you and I actually started talking. And it was much easier for me to find new clients before the pandemic, right?
Sure.
Um, it's also like I had never been on a dating app before the pandemic, but it's like, how else do we meet people these days? And it's like, where
Same,
else do
same.
I find clients, right? It's like, where else do I find clients except going online? I had always met clients through, teaching workshops, teaching classes at events, hosting retreats and advertising those retreats through networks. And then people come to the retreat and I sell my coaching services from there. Um, and even like I would do outdoor education and work with people's kids, and then I end up meeting the parents and having awesome conversations, and they end up hiring me for something. But it's like all this in-person stuff. And so once everything went online during the pandemic, then I had to totally rework my business strategy. Meeting people in person wasn't happening. I wasn't getting referrals and leads and things as quickly as I wanted to online. I was doing some live streaming on Facebook. I was trying to work the email list, but it's only 50 people. Trying to work my network referrals and previous clients and stuff, but everybody had so much going on in their world. I was just like really struggling to figure that out. So I hired a coach to really help me dial in my purpose and my package and my offering and get all of that really clear. And once I had all of that dialed in, it was like, okay, now how do I bring this to the world? How do I tell everybody else about this?
Yeah.
So I went out looking for somebody who could help me with marketing, to help me really get my message dialed in, understand how to talk about what I do, who to talk to about it, and how to get that message across. And I really preferred, in most things that I do, I really prefer working with a coach. A metaphor that I came to, I think actually while you and I were working together, or in the process of deciding to hire someone like you, the metaphor that came to me was like a target and target practice, where I can go online and I can find a template for like a welcome email series, and I see that kind of as the target, right? But then I go home and I take aim and I fire at this target, and I have no idea whether or not I've hit the target, much less
Yeah.
why or how or why not or how not. And so having someone else, provide me with a template and say, this is what we're going for. And actually on our calls, we would kind of start getting going on it. I would take it home and finish it, bring it back to you. And then you were able to give me feedback and say, this one's really close to the mark. This one's further away. This one's close to the mark for this reason. This is how you bring this one closer to the mark. And that kind of feedback, it didn't just provide me with the marketing materials that I had at the end of our 3 months of working together. It taught me how to think about these things and how to do it myself into an indefinite future.
Yeah, that's really cool. Um, that makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. So I
Glad to
appreciate
hear
that.
it.
I appreciate that things are working out for you, to say the least. Um, Run me through some of the things that some of the results you've experienced after or as a result of that work together. So what happened when you had a clear way of talking about what you do? What happened when you knew what emails to send to people? I know we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but what started to happen once you had these things in place and you knew how to bring that message and that conviction to the world?
Yeah. So, when we started talking, I had been watching TikToks for probably 3 months at that point. And so by the time you and I finished working together, I had been watching TikToks for about 6 months altogether. And I felt like that was really my place where I could find a platform and find a following. It really felt like the venue for me for a lot of different reasons. I'm not that excited about writing out long text in like a Facebook post. And Facebook and Instagram both seem like they reach your first degree really well, and they reach your second degree pretty good, and then like third degree okay, but beyond that it's like, is it really reaching anybody? And then every now and then there's one that goes viral. Where TikTok is so different. You produce one piece of quality content, it might be the first video that you've ever made with no followers, and if it's a really high quality piece of content, that algorithm will feed it to millions of people, and you'll end up with millions of views if that content is really good. And so I felt like, without having much of a following, starting from scratch, and also I feel like I present well in video. I talk with my hands and, you know, all these things. And so it seemed like the right venue for me. So I got on TikTok, I started making TikToks, and my initial goal, and this was actually a really good learning for me around goals too, and how goals work, because traditionally I felt with goals, like if I set a goal and then I don't meet the goal, then I failed, right? And so then there's like all this like negative self-talk or whatever about not meeting my goal. So with TikTok, my goal was to get 1,000 followers in the first 10 days. And I didn't meet that goal. At the end of 10 days, I think I had like 700 or 800 followers. So I had 1,000 followers within like 12 or 14 days, right? So I didn't quite make that goal. But then by 3 weeks in, I had 2,000 followers. And within a month, I had about 5. And it just kind of grew exponentially from there. And at this point, so I've been making TikToks since the beginning of May. It's now the beginning of October, so 5 months. And right now I checked this morning, I think I have 68,000 followers.
Cool.
And out of those, let's see, so about 1,000 people have signed up for my email list. Now keep in mind, I had 50 people on my email list before I signed up. And of course, not only did we establish like a content strategy, but we also established a lead magnet, right? So now I have this wonderful ebook that I can offer to people that, you know, it helps people design their days to get more work done in less time. So you have more time for yourself, your passions, and your loved ones. And by having this thing that I'm able to offer, then in all these different videos, you know, anytime I'm talking about designing your time or getting more done in less time, or, you know, work taking over our lives, all these different things, at the end of the video, I can make a call to action that says, hey, check out the link in my bio for a short free ebook on, and then, you know, really tie it to the video that I just made. Actually, I usually do it the other way around. I usually say my call to action is usually something more like, if you want more of this thing that I just talked about in this video and somehow link it to the lead magnet, then check out the link in my bio for the short free ebook called Work Less, Accomplish More. So having that lead magnet, having a really clear objective that lead magnet accomplishes, then I'm able to tie all this different content to it and point people towards the ebook. So I've had about 1,000 people sign up for my email list that way. About 500 of those have actually downloaded the ebook and used it. And through that, probably about 15 people have set up calls with me, and about 5 of those have enrolled and are now paying clients. And I think it's important to clarify too, when I talk about those numbers of like, well, there's 60, you know, almost 70,000 followers, 1,000 people on the email list, only 15 calls and only 5 clients. I feel like it's important to note that for the first 3 months or so, I made content that was not directly related to my work. And different people have different strategies around this. Some people feel like find your work, find your message, lead with that. Some people feel like build your following first around, you know, just being interesting and, you know, just some various topics that people are going to find interesting that you can somehow tie back to your work later. And then once you have kind of a following, then start talking about your work. So that was my strategy. So I didn't really talk about my work for the first 3 months. I built a following. And then, so it's really only been the last 2 months or so that I've been actively talking about my work, making content about decolonizing time, designing your time for maximum effectiveness. And so all of those results of email list and clients and things like that, that's all happened in the last couple of months. Yeah, and I want to clarify too that initially I thought that TikTok would be my very top of funnel and that I would have to get them through all these different stages before they were actually on the phone with me. And turns out if I make the right content and make the right call to action, people set up calls with me directly from a massive platform like TikTok.
That's awesome. That's awesome to challenge that. You know, a lot of us kind of have that assumption that social media, it's not really the place to get great leads. It's a great place to start a relationship. I think you're just completely saying, no, people are finding what I'm saying valuable. So right away, I'm just going to be unapologetic about the fact that I can help them live a better life, a more meaningful life, a more fulfilling life. And I'm going to make sure they know about that. I remember you sent me an email a few weeks ago that I, I hope I paraphrased this correctly, but you were saying you were gathering this following, you know, you were getting some traction, but you weren't necessarily getting some buyers. And then when you switched and actually started talking about what you actually do and actually started letting people know that you have something to give them, that's when the wheels started moving. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there is the piece of the strategy where for some people have a strategy around building your following first. And then also, to be completely transparent, I also felt I felt a lot of anxiety and pressure around starting to talk about my work, because
Totally.
then it's like, yeah, okay, so I can make an engaging TikTok, but can I make an engaging TikTok about something that matters? Can I translate views into clients? And you know, there's always that thing of like, as long as we're not trying, then we don't know if we're going to succeed or fail, and it can just like be out there in the amorphous like future, right? And
Yeah,
at
yeah.
some point it's like, okay, I got to take this risk. I'm going to do this thing and it's either going to work or it's not going to work, and if it doesn't, then I'll make some adjustments. So yeah, I just, you know, I put on my big person pants and it's like, okay, here we are, I'm going to make this content. And
Yeah.
yeah, the very first content that I made about the first video that I made about decolonizing time had 30,000 views overnight. And the one of my most recent videos about the dopamine system and hacking our dopamine system, our dopamine and reward system to help us cultivate the habits that we know are good for us, is currently at just under 500,000 views.
That is so cool. And I think the coolest part about that isn't just that you're going viral with the dance challenge, although I would love to see that. But you know, you're going viral with something that is really um, impacting people and pretty immediately. You know, it's not like you have to go through a 3 or 6 or 12 month program to get the benefits. You said it with your lead magnet, you're delivering value right away. With your TikTok videos, you know, what is that, like a 6-second video? You're delivering value right away. And the more
up
people
to
that see that,
up to 3 minutes, but yes, some of them are five
sweet.
seconds 8 seconds. They are up to 3 minutes, but yeah, it can be a very, very short video. So yeah, delivering, and that's like you said, it's all about value. 5 seconds needs to be packed with value. 3 minutes needs to be packed with value. It's like however long that video is, you got to make sure that it's engaging and full of value the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. And just a quick note, when you mentioned bringing people down your funnel, it's, you know, I've been telling a lot of my clients recently that it's like you're mapping the stages of how you're adding value, right? Maybe you're adding, if TikTok's your top of funnel, you're adding value in a specific way and you're getting people to their email list and you're continuing to add value in now a different or additional way. With your lead magnet, like you said, it's here's some more value that is just like even more. You're just overflowing with value. How could someone that is a great fit for you, you know, you're showing up with clean energy, pure energy, how could someone who is not the right fit for you pass that up? You know, there's not really a secret to it. It's showing up with good energy and putting something of value out into the world and making sure that people know about it. When you communicate that well and you have all the tactical things in place, you know, you can focus on yourself and providing that value. So it's super cool
Yep.
to hear that
Yep.
you're executing on all cylinders. If people want to get that value, is it cool if I link to your lead magnet? Do you want to send people to your TikTok? Where can I send people to learn more about you and celebrate your story?
Yeah, so the easiest way to find me is 8seasons.consulting. That's the number 8seasons.consulting. From there, you can download the lead magnet. There's links to actually, there's not a link to TikTok from my website. Glad I almost said that, because it's not true. You can also find me on TikTok. My handle is @Modo Nomad. That's MODO Nomad. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram and things like that. But you can also, something I learned recently is I think I might be one of the only people in the world with my name. If you search the internet for Kai Northcott, you will find me. No questions asked.
I love it. You know, I'm in a similar boat, but people have a hard time spelling it out. All right, Kai, one more question for you. What would you say to someone who is in a similar position as you? You've been trying to make your business model work for a year, 2 years. You've got your website up. You know, you are overwhelmed. You're lacking a little bit of clarity. What would you say to someone in those shoes who might be considering working with myself or just investing in coaching in general?
Yeah, so I would say that for me personally, having someone to offer me feedback on my progress, not only offering great insights and great teaching and things like that, but I feel like some of those things, a lot of those things I can get from a video course, right? But one-on-one coaching, personalizing those concepts, applying them, helping me personally understand how to take it from where I am to where I want to go. The one-on-one aspect of coaching to me is really invaluable, and not that it has to be one-on-one. I've done some really great, like a group coaching call can be really helpful, but I do really value one-on-one coaching, and it's worth the investment to help you gain the clarity and gain the traction, figure out exactly where you are, where you're going, and how you're getting there. And the return that you're going to see on that path it's going to be an exponential return on your investment in that coaching. So I always recommend coaching to people for whatever change you're trying to make in your life. Having another person who's gone through it help you with that change, it's just going to be easier than doing it on your own. It's just,
Yeah,
just
totally.
is.
You shortcut the path to success. And for someone like you, I mean, I think everyone who's watching can relate to how many times have we downloaded a PDF or some video course about productivity and time management, calendar management.
Right.
We're always trying to figure out like, how do we switch from Trello to Asana and use all the cool new power ups? And I think what you're doing is like, let's work together to really tackle the base of this and almost investigate like a new way of looking at the world and then examining and observing our energy. So that's really cool. I hope a lot of people really, really find the work that you do valuable. I'm so excited to see you blow up because I think first of all, you're just in a great market, but then what you're doing is great. And Kai, you're just like a great person. You're one of my favorite people I've ever worked with. So
Thank you so much,
super
Zach. I
cool.
appreciate it a lot.
So Kai, thanks so much for
Awesome.
jumping on the call. I'm going to invite the creepy white lady voice back in to stop this recording, and then we'll get to our conversation. Cool.
Okay. Thanks so much for your time, Zach.
Right.